Alright, good morning. I am streaming live to a massive audience of probably nobody. That's alright. Welcome. This is No More Paper Trading show called... what is the name of the show? Premarket Wake Up. Where I quickly go over the overnight moves, current and upcoming news, and then key levels. I'd like to expand on the show in the future, but for now, this is what it is. I mostly do it for myself, but if you happen to tune in at any point, I started a Discord. Link is in the description. The entire point of this Discord is for the community. I have no intention, in fact I make promises, I won't sell anything. No memberships, nothing. Those who can't trade teach for a living and make money. I mean, you could teach, you could be a great trader and teach, but most of those people teach for free and they're very selective about their teaching. You know what I mean. It's pretty obvious when you see the whole shtick where, you know, just give me $1,500 and I'll put you through my course and then you'll be the greatest trader ever. And if you're not, then just pay for another course. All information is free and out there for anyone. You just have to look and decide that you're actually honest about wanting to trade. Because it is not easy. Alright, so right away this morning, there is not much going on at 8:30. No news releases this morning. I will go over some other news stories later and what's coming up for tomorrow and the rest of the week. But for now, let's take a look at the overnight moves. ES rose right at the open. Mostly positive. Price action looks somewhat positive. This area right here at around 65.07 seems to be big resistance area. That is the high of several days ago. I'll go over that in the key levels area. I might mark that area. I definitely should. I don't do that enough. I don't mark enough areas. I just rely on my normal key levels. Previous day high, low, close. Previous month's high, low, close. Current month's high, current month's low. Opening range high, opening range low. 9:30 open. I mean, that's enough. Alright, M and Q, what happened there? Very similar to the ES. Broke right through previous day's close, which would be Friday's close. And again, stuck around similar level at 23,787.50. I wonder if the ES rose above its... Yes, ES rose above previous day's close as well right away at the open. I mean, it didn't take long. There's probably orders waiting, knowing that a recovery is in order. Also, this area right here, that might not mean much. Let me take a closer look. Not really. Could be arbitrary. Russell. Russell does not seem as strong as I thought it would be. That could be because we are coming up on previous month's high. Whereas the rest of them, I don't think are close to it. Yeah, the NQ is not close to the previous month's high. ES is kind of close, but not as close as the Russell. So that could very well be why we didn't rise as strong. Again, overnight volume is low in the Russell. I guess a lot of people don't trade that in the overnight like the ES. And we're not due for a rollover for some time. I often miss rollovers. I even wrote a calendar up to try and remind me. But it's just such a pain to check the volume of every single contract against its previous months and what would you call that? The next month. Gold's even more confusing because gold skips a month. Just October, for some reason, just skips it. It's traded. There is a contract for October, but it just skips it. I'm pretty sure it's gold. Fact check. Yeah, gold skips October. We are right now on the December? No, we're on November? No, we are on December already. Yeah, skips October for some reason. But next week we roll over. Or at the end of this week, actually. So I should bring that up multiple days this week and double check. But I think by Friday in the ES, the NQ, the Russell, and the Dow, we will be rolling over. I'm going to double check that they're all the same. I think they are. To do later. Alright, back. Let's check the Dow while we're at it. Dow rose sharply at the open as well. Going over Friday's close. The Dow is lagging behind the others and not having passed previous month's close yet. Pretty sure, let me just double check that. Yeah. But this level here that we stopped at, I don't know what that is. Could be random. But some clean hits off of, well, not that clean. Previous day's close. Let me make sure I got that right. 45,459. Yeah. It's just very cleanly a couple points above it. Look at that. I wonder if that means anything. Just speculating. Maybe it means the buyers are that rabid that they're snatching it up before it even gets there. That could be. I like keeping my charts like more towards the middle. I don't know why, but I don't like it when they're like locked here. I don't know. Gold. Huh. Interesting. Gold opened pretty flat. Hovered around Friday's opening range low. Did make an attempt on, I don't know what that level is. Pretty arbitrary, but did create a level of support and resistance, which later at around 1:35 Eastern Standard Time just been straight up since then almost. Kind of lagged around yesterday's or Friday's close and Friday's high. And that's where we're at right now. I wonder what happened at 1:30. I do have plans for an indicator that will mark world markets open and close on the charts. There's already some indicators that do that, but I don't like them. So I'm going to build my own, hopefully. It might be beyond my skills. I've created some indicators, but they're simple by comparison. And I heavily used AI to help. And every time I've built one, the AI has gotten worse and worse. And I've had to pick up more slack from the AI more and more. Because I'm sure other people see it too. AI is degrading very quickly. And at some point, they're not going to be able to hide it. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Maybe it's just the specific model I'm using or the topic I'm attempting is just too different or near impossible. I don't know. All right, let's move on to oil. Oil has been on a increase all night. Barely even noticed Friday's opening range high. Slowed down a bit at, I believe that's a pivot point. No, that's the 100 SMA from the daily chart. I charted it over to the 5-minute because, as you can see, price often hits it. And I don't remember if that's one I created or not. I don't think I did. Maybe I did create this. No. No, this is someone else's, I believe. Anyway, I don't think the default moving average indicator allows you to do that. But very useful. Price then bounced off it several times. and then got stuck around 63, which, if you tuned in last week, which you didn't, because nobody did, this is a huge area in here. I'll talk about that later a little bit, maybe. I just want to get through the overnight, show you what happened. All right, let's move on to news. What's going on this week? What the major headlines are right now. Again, rate cuts. Rate cuts are everything. I don't think that's a good sign for the markets. We're going to need earnings to start working more. Or another narrative besides AI. I think it's starting to get washed out. Or it's like the dot-com bubble where the hype outpaced the technology, but the technology was actually worth something. Just like the internet was actually worth something, but there's limitations, and we just didn't yet know those limitations, and neither did the market. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll call it the great AI crash. If I had to put a date on it right now, I would say May of next year is when it'll start. And as normal, the government will just pump money. You'll have a V. For about 3 weeks, the market will head down really quickly, and everyone will panic, and then, as usual, the government will steal a lot of money from its citizens and give it to the large corporations, because, oh no, markets. But what do I care? All right. Today, something that I noticed. I had no idea this was happening. I don't know how common that is, but it seems pretty important. No confidence motion against the French Prime Minister. Is Macron still in power? Is he the president and the Prime Minister someone else? I have not heard of Beirut. But that appears to be major news. I don't know if that'll affect US markets at all. I honestly don't know much about French politics. Besides, they're having the same problems that the rest of Europe and England are having. All right, later this week, we have non-farm payrolls revision. I think that has become more important lately because of the major mistakes that they've been making. I think that was in non-farm payrolls. One of the payrolls. Again, I don't try to evaluate the news besides just real quick what comes to my head. I don't do much research on it. It's actually very hard these days to do good research on news events because everyone's got a side. And that even permeates into money markets. You could see someone write up about corn futures. And it's clear that they hate this person or they love that person, or it's ridiculous. So I don't bother. But that's not the reason I don't bother. The reason I don't bother is because I'm a technical trader and I'm trying to be. Maybe later today I'll get into more of the other trades I do besides futures that right now are more successful than futures for me. But what do we got later this week? So Tuesday, that's about the only thing. If you trade the overnight, I'd say look out for China's consumer price index. That'll shake up Asian markets a bit. That is at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday. That's Sweden? Yeah. No, not Sweden. That's Swiss. Duh. I don't think that'll affect markets in America. But we have PPI at 8:30. And then that's it. Some oil stuff. I have not yet noticed how that affects oil price. I would assume it does. I think this is released every week. Yeah, weekly measure. No, do they release that just for America? Oh, yeah, it's US. Price weekly measure. Maybe I should start looking at a calendar that's based on stocks and futures. But for real, FX Street does have the best economic calendar. Just the way it's set up, I like it. TradingView has a decent one, but it's not there yet. It's pretty new. Thursday, we have CPI at 8:30. US monthly budget, that might move things a little bit. And then Friday, we have Michigan consumer sentiment. Not much this week. Pretty normal. If I had to call it for this week, I would say we're gonna fluctuate. Price will break, then recover, then break, and then recover. Look for a channel formation. But we'll see. All right, let's move on. Let's look at some key areas. I'm trying to make this whole thing quicker for myself. That way I have more time for trading. If I gain an audience, I'll put more into it, of course, but already I've gotten a lot out of it. Just knowing that I have to do something. And I have to try to do it well. Changes the whole way I put effort into trading. I've always put a lot of work into it. But now I put much more. All right. So now we're going to look at all the futures I trade, which cover all the major indices. The ES, the NQ, the Russell, the Dow, and then gold and oil, because they matter. I'm thinking about Bitcoin, but I don't know why. I stay away from it. Don't ask me why. But yeah, we're going to look at the 5-minute chart and then the daily. Those are the two main charts I use. I will go over my charts a little bit and what I have on them. So first we have volume, just regular volume here. Which I just had to recenter. And MACD, I'm looking to get rid of MACD. Sometimes it helps me, but it can be very misleading. And we have up-down volume. This is a default. MACD is default trading view indicator. So is volume. But this is, someone made this. And if you want to know what it is, it's up-down volume. It's great. It splits up buyers and sellers. I'm not sure how it does it. I'm not sure how accurate it is. It seems pretty accurate. And then it puts a little line in the balance. So you could just take a quick look at it and see trends. The way I use it is if price is coming to one of my key areas and it's clear for the last 15-20 minutes, you see a trend of, let's say we're coming down the previous day close, and you see a trend of less and less sellers as we get to the previous day's close. You see the balance tipping. And then as we hit yesterday's close, hypothetically, let's say you see an influx of even more buyers. That would be a pretty good indicator that we're going to at least bounce off of it. And then of course I just quick glance at these others. I wish I could overlay this behind this somehow. Yeah, another idea to make my own indicator. This up here is my own indicator. I haven't used it much, but I sure did spend a lot of time making it. But it follows the 9. Well, you could configure it any way you want. But I follow the 9, 21, and 50 EMA. But you could put any exponential moving average in there. And it measures, is it going up or going down? You can configure how far back it measures that from. You can also configure what slant is considered up. And then the trend is how they are relative to each other. If the 9 EMA is below the 21, that's a weak bear. And so on and so forth. You can configure that as well. It just changed to a bear because it passed one of them. And then exhaustion is how long has EMA 9 EMA been above, or maybe it's how far. See, I don't even remember. It's how far or how long it's been above the other two, meaning how exhausted is this trend. The way I use it is, I was going to use it just as a basic guide. If it said the trend was this, I could only short at major key areas. But trading's a bit messier than that. There's no one true indicator that's gonna solve all those issues. I was looking for basically a short-term trend indicator. Originally it was just gonna tell me real quick, was 9 EMA above 21 and 50 or below 21 and 50, and it turned into this crazy mess. Maybe I'll figure out a way to use it in really quick scalping. Yeah, I had that idea on Friday. I want to get used to trading on the DOM more. And a quicker scalping. I've had success in the past with it, and then I don't know why, I just kind of give up on it. Because it is stressful. But anyway, that's my charts. I have the same, basically the same setup on the daily. I don't have the EMA trend dashboard. But let's take a look at key areas coming into Monday, today, if that wasn't obvious. Oops, that's oil. So I do have the trend for oil, or for ES. All right, major areas we got today. If price is bullish, I'd say look out for, well, right now we're coming up to it already, but this area was a major stoppage point in the overnight. 6507 in this general area. And if you look on the daily, you can see 6507 is the area of, it was the high of 827, and a couple other days got up there. So kind of important area of resistance. I don't know if I would, I don't think I'm going to mark it. It's not enough for me to enter a scalp or a longer term scalp. My scalp trades are usually on average less than 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Some people call a scalp, you know, if you're in for an hour or two. I don't call that a scalp because it's, for me and my trading strategy, I think about those two trades completely differently. I guess I'll consider that a day trade. So I have scalps, I have day trades, and then I rarely have swing trades. I'm not built for swing trades. I'm trying to be, but just not right now. So if we head up, we have previous month's high at 65.23 area, as well as Friday's opening range low. I think that'll halt price right there as we head up. I honestly think if we go over that, we're not going to stay above it for long. Probably come back down. But could look for a bounce off of, that would be current month's high. It's also an all-time high. Very good place for a quick short. If we head lower, we have previous day's close down here at 64.89. When I mention these numbers, they're general. Because you don't have to be super exact. I like to be exact when I'm writing them in. I place all these manually, so I pay attention to them. If we go lower than that, you have previous month's close at 64.72. I don't think we'll get below that. Several times now we've stopped there. Friday did drop below it, but it didn't take long for price to come back and then build support there. All right, NQ. Again, this same area in here for the NQ. Seems to be something. 228, it was the high, close to the high. That might be why it stopped there. To be honest, Friday's opening range low is actually closer to that area. So it might not be marked yet with my indicator. I forgot to mention that indicator. I use, I love it. It's great. Volume Support Resistance Zones version 2. That is by Tommy F 1001. Great indicator. Geez, how many people use it? I forgot to look at that. Quite a lot. I cherish it so much that I copied its code just in case it ever gets erased or he stops updating it for whatever reason. I'm sure many people have already done the same with how many people use it. Anyway, so that indicator did not yet write this area as a major resistance area. It did write it on Friday, but not today. But it's there, trust me. It's definitely there up here. So look out for current month high at 23,903. Price will likely stop there. Maybe not for good, might go over it. I don't really see it today. As you can see, we are not near all-time highs on the NQ. All-time high was last made 813. Pretty sure that's an all-time high. I don't have the continuous chart. If you don't trade futures often, most brokers have a continuous chart, which is somehow it averages the prices of all the futures contracts. So you can look at price going back years. I don't know if you can do years. You should. I often just look at the SPY or QQQ for that. But as you can see, if we go back, volume gets very low and then non-existent, because this is a quarterly contract. It has a monthly date, but it skips months. Not like gold skips months, where there is the contract, there is the actual contract, but nobody trades it. There's no way to trade these months on the NQ. Alright, if we head down, let's take a look at what we have. Friday's close at 23,684. If we go below that, huge area of resistance that was built up on Friday. I think that just shows the amount of buyers that came in. If they were real or a circuit breaker of some sort, I don't know. And then below that you have previous month's close. If we get down to that, look for a quick scalp. But other than that, I don't have any predictions. Seems like we will trend higher, but we are in a summer slog right now. I'd say October, November, look for the market to choose a direction and go with it. The average over the years has been a recovery around October and November. Sometimes small, sometimes lasting until the next summer. So I'd say lately, for the equities, I err on the side of mixed. We'll probably gain at the open and then bounce back and forth. Not really getting too much of anywhere. All right, let's look at the Russell. The mini futures contract is RTY. The micro is M2K. If I start to gain an audience and I get a lot of beginners, I'd be happy to go into what futures are and how they work and their basic understandings. I could use a brush up on it myself. If price rises, if bulls get in charge, we do have a large area of resistance up around 2408 starting. That was formed right before Friday's all-time high. I believe it's an all-time high. No, it's not. But might be a yearly high. Yeah, it's the year's high of the year. I don't mark that on my charts because, I mean, why not? I guess I could. If we head lower, previous day's close at 2493.5. And then below that, we have a large area of resistance at 2380. That was formed on Friday, just like in the other markets. That's interesting. On Friday, actually, the Russell did hit previous month's close. I don't think the other ones did. And Q came close. Oh, the ES did for sure. Okay. Never mind, disregard. If you don't know, that's a very important area. Sometimes price will hit it exactly, but it always tends to halt around there. Linger, you might say. Or directly pivot. Those are the places you can put probability on your side. All right, the Dow. I rarely trade this, but I look at it for correlation purposes. Sometimes I can see by looking at the Russell and the Dow. I don't really know what I'm seeing yet. I'm still learning. But there's times where I saw that it looked like the Russell or the Dow were leading. Leading the other markets. You would have a recovery in the Russell. What looks like a recovery before it would appear in the S&P. I haven't yet observed it enough to trade on it, but I have observed it. But anyway, as price goes higher, look out for previous month's close at 45,602. Above that would be Friday's opening range low. So once the market opens, I kind of ignore that level. Price might stop there still, but I don't deem it powerful enough to want to trade it. Above that, we have a large resistance area. That area is very important if you look at the daily. Huge channel right here. Not to mention previous month's high, current month's high, in several days, but a couple days high. If we blast right through that, I'd be very surprised. Good place for a short right up here, if we get there. If we move lower, we are looking at previous day's close at 45458, 45459. Below that, we have large resistance area at 45350. And then Friday's low at 45257, about. All right, gold. Gold is moving pretty good at the open. That could be a bad sign for the indices. I believe that traders tend to move into gold when things look bleak in the regular stock market. I guess there could be other reasons, geopolitical reasons, that I don't follow. All right, let's take a look at that. We got time, don't we? I just want to see if there's a historical significance between these two. Between gold and the S&P. Their correlation, more or less. I wonder if I still have that. I do. So this just gives you a raw number. This is portfoliovisualizer.com. They have an asset correlator. Futures, I don't think it will do futures, but we can do SPY and geez, what's a gold ETF? I think it's gold. Let me double check that. GLD. I think it's got the most assets. GLD. The returns. Let's do daily returns. 120 days. So this is a measure of the correlation. How close they match. Geez, they both have similar returns. Going back, I believe that would be going back to 2006, which is the furthest back we can go. So they often move from half correlation, or pretty close to it, to negative correlation. That's a huge sliding scale. Right now, they're claiming I wonder if they changed this. So I believe the way you read this is 1.0. If they were both measured at 1.0, they would be exactly correlated. Let's add one just to double check. SPY closely correlated. I guess the QQQ is close enough. Yeah. Okay, that's how you read it. So as you can see, SPY is 1.0. That means QQQ is 92% of the time. That's the way I read it. Correlated to SPY. And now they claim gold is only 5% of the time correlated. And at this moment is pretty close to negative correlation. I would believe -1 would be almost exactly negative. So it would actually be foolish of me at this point to read into this at all. The fact that gold's going up, that could mean nothing. What would be interesting, I don't have the time right now, but take a look at major bear markets, or even slight falls in the S&P, and see if beforehand there was a buildup in gold. Basically, towards the end of the bull run, gold would become more positive, reach positive correlation to the SPY, signaling that, yeah, the bull run's still going, but people are slowly moving in the gold. And then it cracks. That would be good to look at. All right, moving on. Oh, what did I want to see? I want to see gold to oil. I don't even know a good oil ETF. Let me take a look. USO. I know I've bought it before, but I forgot what it was. All right. 20% of the time they're correlated. Oil to gold. And right now, they're about 20% correlated, so the most, not the most it gets, but we're average. I don't know. This is one of the major reasons why I enjoy trading so much. There's just so many things you can look at, so many areas to become an expert in. Maybe not expert's the right word, but so many areas to find value somewhere. It's like one giant puzzle. It changes all the time. And I don't think I'll ever quite figure it out. All right, let's go back to figuring out gold. So I guess I won't read into that today. Looks like right now, gold is going to bounce off of, that is a pivot point? Yeah, there's the R2 pivot point at 3662.6. That was the current month high. We've just broken over that. I would take that trade if we weren't at the current month high, if we were at a lower area. I probably would have scalped that quick, but I think it's too late now. And price did not quite hit it. So if we go higher, not much up here. besides last month's pivot point, which I don't pay attention to much, and then the R3 pivot point. Gold does move that far sometimes, but I doubt it today. It is not close to an average movement. In fact, let's look at some high movements. Yeah, that's a it's like 45, 50 point move. And right now we have over 100 points to get there. Not going to happen. If we trend lower, we have this mess right here to get through. That is around 36.55 to 36.50, 51. Below that, if we tend to move lower, we have Friday's low. And then right below that, another pivot point. You might see us just bounce between there for a bit. If I had to predict something, I would say price is going to come back down into this area here for the day. Maybe not. Maybe there's something I don't know. If you look at RSI, that is telling right there. This is why I like RSI. I think it is actually the most popular indicator besides the moving averages. I think, don't quote me on that. But as you can see, price is moving higher, RSI is moving lower. On the 3rd, we had a high of 3633.9. No, higher than that. We had a high of 3640.8. And RSI got up to around 76.84. Now today, price is getting even higher. And RSI is only sitting at 75. And look at volume. Well, this is daily, so I wouldn't trust this yet because the day's not out. So yeah, I wouldn't look at this quite yet. But we are very extended, even in MACD. There's got to be some recovery coming soon. I try not to short the tops, but it is so tempting. I think if we fall back through this pivot point and down here, we could at least reach the overnight low. But I bet a lot of people are looking for that to drop below there and get on a short. You can even see it. Oops, I didn't switch over. Sorry. You can even see it on the 5-minute RSI. We keep trending lower even as price goes higher. It's a little bit higher. Too early to tell, and it might be too late once it does happen. I should make a mental note to look at gold. Oil, what do we got? If we head higher, again, this giant mess in here, which has formed over the last few weeks, you can see it right here. It's like a magnet pulling on price constantly. Early August, we got below it, and every day almost, we came back to it. late August, early September, we were above it, but almost every day came back down towards it. Well, except for 2nd and 3rd of September, when oil was attempting to move higher. But right now, we are near the 100 SMA. Almost right on it. That was a major area in the overnight. Nice clean pullback here. Will that happen again? Let's take a look. RSI. Last time we were here, RSI was around 39.42. Right now, we are even lower. I see us not bouncing on it, but I am not about to do a short with that either. This close to the open. Oh, we just did open. I didn't even notice. I usually don't trade the open, at least for the first 15 minutes. But let's move along so I can go trade. If we head lower, again, another mess area. Down here, around $62, starting at 62, I'd say. Round numbers are often important in oil. I'm really considering the short right here. Yeah, maybe not. All right, I think that's all I have. I'll put together more stuff as this show gets moving. So far I've had a total viewership of myself, but that's okay. Maybe some bots. I welcome the bots. Again, I'm here for myself, to become a better trader, to build a community where people can learn from people who aren't trying to sell them something. If you're looking to buy something, and if you think that there's some secret that someone can teach you for money, why can't they teach it to you for free? It's not there. Get that out of your head. The only way to make money in the markets is hard work. Lots of hard work. No shortcuts. And I'll end with that as I go to work for the rest of the day. Have a good day trading. Be safe. Link to the Discord is in the description. Please join.